In this video, I will break down the 3 pillars of Amazon's system which are responsible for implementation, training, and employee development. I will show you how Bezos built a culture that raises the bar to itself and why this mechanism, rather than technology alone, are the key to their scale. In most companies, we struggle with a renter mentality. Employees do their jobs but don't feel ownership of the results. And Jeff Bezos hated that attitude. There is an anecdote for the Amazon's early days about Christmas party where employees, not having a stand, nailed the Christmas tree to the wooden floor. After all, they were only renting the place. Bezos used this story as a symbol for years. An owner would never nail a tree to the floor. Hi, I'm Darek, a seasoned HR professional and a scientist with a PhD in management. And today, I will show you how to build an army of people with an owner mentality. It all starts at the front door. The first pillar addresses a fundamental mistake that almost every company makes. Everyone believes that culture can be fixed with training, but culture is built at the very beginning with the door through which we let new people in. Bezos knew perfectly well that putting out fires after bad hiring is many times more expensive than spending extra time finding the right person. Therefore, to guarantee this, a special mechanism was created at Amazon: the Quality Guardians program. How does it work? In addition to the manager and the future team, someone else participates in each recruitment process. This is the Quality Guardian, a special trained employee who is deliberately from outside the department where recruitment is taking place. Why? Because this allows them to be completely objective, and their only overriding task is to answer one question: will this candidate definitely rise the average level of talent across the company? But now we come to their superpower, the most important element of the whole system. The Quality Guardian has the right of veto. Imagine this situation. The manager is under pressure. The team urgently needs extra hands, and everyone is absolutely delighted with the candidate. But the Guardian sees that this is only a good candidate, not an outstanding one who will rise the bar. Then he can say no, and his decision is final. This is absolutely crucial because it protects the company from its greatest enemy, time pressure. It protects against hiring bodies just to fill a vacancy. Because this whole seemingly complicated process actually has one simple goal: to bring only people with an owner's mentality into the company, not a renter's mentality. Bezos explained the difference is fundamental. The renter comes to work to earn money and do their job. They focus on what they can take from the company. An owner, on the other hand, thinks about what they can bring to the company. They are involved in product development and care about customers because they feel genuinely responsible for them. Paradoxically, it's the owner's mentality that brings the company the greatest profits in the long run. Question for you: can your recruitment process distinguish between the two? Do you have a Quality Guardian in your company? Okay, so we already have people with an owner's mindset in the company, but how do we ensure that this standard not only remains in place, but continues to grow? This is where the second pillar comes into play: growth through principles and the mechanism that build empathy. Many companies have their values hanging on the wall in the form of nice posters. At Amazon, the 14 leadership principles are not slogans, but a real operating system that people work by every day. I want to discuss all of them, but I will show you 2 that have brilliant implementation mechanisms. The first is the principle of striving for the highest standards. Bezos was famous for having, as he put it, unrealistically high standards. But how can you teach someone that? The answer is surprising. Through brutal realism. Bezos explained this with a brilliant example of a friend who wanted to learn how to do perfect handstand. Her coach said at the very beginning, "Most people think it's a matter of 2 weeks. In reality, it is 6 months of daily tedious practice. If you set your mind on 2 weeks, I guarantee you will give up." This is a powerful lesson. In companies, we constantly kill standards by giving people unrealistic expectations about the time and scope of work. Amazon teaches the mastery takes time, and honest communication about this is the foundation of highest quality. The second principle is getting to the bottom of things, which means obsessively searching for the real source of a problem, not just patching up its symptoms. And here Amazon has two physical mechanisms to force this kind of thinking. First, every office worker, including Bezos, had to regularly work in customer service. Why? To hear firsthand what customers are really struggling with. This builds empathy and provides invaluable perspective that no Excel report can provide. The second mechanism is the legendary Andon Cord, an idea borrowed from Toyota factories. Imagine that a customer service employee notices that the same problem with a product keeps coming up in conversations. They have the right to pull the cord, which can halt sales of the product throughout the system until its owner finds and fixes the root cause of the error. This teaches a fundamental principle. We don't put out fires. We look for their source and eliminate them. And here we come to the third and final pillar, which addresses the biggest pain point for growing companies: the problem of scaling. Every successful organization, sooner or later, falls into the same trap. The bigger it gets, the more time it spends on internal coordination and less on creating value for the customer. Meetings, emails, status updates. It kills innovation. Bezos' solution was revolutionary and defied all logic. He concluded that the communication problem could not be solved. It had to be eliminated, and to do that, two powerful tools were needed: radical autonomy and crystal clear thinking. Let's start with autonomy. One of Amazon's vice presidents once said, "The best way to fail at the coming up with something new is to make it someone's part-time job." That's why Amazon came up with the concept of single focus leader. This is a person who is 100% responsible for one key project. They have no other responsibilities. Their only task is to make this one initiative a success. Such a leader has a small, fully autonomous team organized according to the famous two-pizza rule that is so small that it can be fed with two pizzas. Think about what this means for your company. Instead of having 3 people work after hours to implement a new system, you dedicate one leader to it for whom it's the only priority. The results will come much faster. But how do you keep hundreds of such autonomous teams from going in 100 different directions? This is where the second tool comes in: enforcing crystal clarity. Amazon has a famous ban on the use of PowerPoint at key meetings. Instead, every idea must be presented in the form of dense, well-thought-out text. Imagine the most important strategic meeting in the company. Instead of slides with slogans, a 6-page document lands on the table. And for the next 20-30 minutes, there's a complete silence as everyone, from the CEO down, reads it. Bezos believed that the process of writing in full sentences forces deeper analysis and brutal hierarchy of ideas in a way that bullet points on slide never will. The second tool is a process they call working backwards. Before the team writes even a single line of code for new product, they must create 2 documents. The first is a press release, one that will be published on the launch date. It describes from the customer's perspective why the new product is revolutionary and how it solves their problem. If you can't write a press release that excites, it means the idea is too weak. The second is a FAQ, a list of potential questions from customers and difficult internal questions. This forces the team to think through all the risks, barriers, and challenges before the project even gets off the ground. For a manager, it's a perfect tool for verifying an idea for a new course or technology before spending a single dollar on it. Most importantly, most of these documents at Amazon are rejected, and that's the biggest advantage of this system. It saves enormous resources by killing weak ideas at the outset. And what binds all these pillars into the functioning machine? One simple philosophy that addresses the biggest pain points of R&D departments: long-term thinking. How many times have you fought for your budget because your boss saw training as a cost rather than a strategic investment? Bezos turned this logic on its head, bashing it on 2 principles. First, Amazon does not focus on short-term margins, but on maximizing free cash flow. the fuel that can be immediately invested in innovation. The philosophy allows the company to invest in products that seem costly today but will build a crushing market advantage in few years. Second, Bezos used a simple mental model he called the regret minimization philosophy. When making a difficult, risky decision, he asked himself one question: when I'm 80, what will I regret more? That I tried and failed, or that I didn't try it at all? This question completely changes the perspective. It makes us think not about the risk of action, but about the enormous cost of inaction. About the cost of sleeping for a revolution such as artificial intelligence in education. As you can see, Amazon's system is not magic, but a well-thought-out machine from which each of us can draw inspiration. Its operation is based on 3 pillars. First, only allow owners, not renters, into the company, protecting the company culture at its very doorstep. Second, develop people through principles that work in practice, forcing them to look for the real source of problems, not just put out fires. Third, scale their talent by giving them radical autonomy in small teams while demanding crystal-clear thinking. All of this is held together by a philosophy on long-term thinking that treats development not as a cost, but as the most important investment in the future. And this is a lesson that every leader can start implementing tomorrow. And I'm very curious to know which of the Amazon's mechanisms described above impressed you the most. Let me know in the comments. I would love to hear your perspective. And make sure to check out the video about 8 psychological mechanisms applied in Duolingo that will boost your training engagement. Like, subscribe, and see you in the next one.